if this works, it'll be a freaking miracle. I'll tell you why in a minute. Chinese robot wolves versus American grunts. I put my money on the grunts. As predicted, the Democrat senators are up in a tizzy, clutching their pearls, headed for their fainting couches over Trump's signature on the currency. I love it. And a kid with the absolute spirit of Michael Jackson. You will not believe this kid. He is amazing. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. We are live on Rumble and YouTube. Please give us a follow or a subscribe. We appreciate that. A thumbs up would also be nice, or a like. Also, just share the video out there. Let people know we're here, and it helps a lot to help this channel grow. We're doing that little by little, bits by bits. So all that coming up on this Monday morning. Marilyn, good morning. Now let me explain why it is an absolute Easter miracle that I'm here live at all. I was mucking around yesterday late at night for you guys at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning when I figured nobody'd be around. And I was trying different things because I can't get into the weeds. It doesn't matter. But Rumble is forcing me to use a system on their live studio that doesn't jive with the system I use here for my broadcast. There is just no way it can happen. And they're forcing me to use it. If I did, I'd have no audio. I tried everything. I've tried virtual cables. I searched. I used Grok. I used ChatGPT for answers. Nothing would help me. Nothing fixes the problem because the way I'm currently live, apparently they say they're going to stop using this option. I won't be able to use it anymore. I'll tell you what, if they won't give me an easy answer to get this show live on Rumble, screw them. I mean, I love Rumble. They are absolutely the best censor-free platform on the planet. If you're watching me on YouTube and you don't have a Rumble account, you need to get over there, make one, follow our show. But I will, I left YouTube a while ago and then I've slowly worked my way back there. So far, so good. If I have to, I will dump Rumble and just broadcast on YouTube. I don't want to have to do that because YouTube is a mess. It is a censorship nightmare. But Rumble doesn't want to play ball. I won't play ball. It's just that easy, Rumble. Stop taking away options people use. All right, enough rants. Let's talk about the Chinese wolves and the American grunts. China, that bastion of creativity and truthfulness, and yes, I'm kidding, is now claiming to have a cutting-edge new piece of machinery, and that being a four-legged robot dog that can carry a variety of weapons. The Chinese developers are calling these robot dogs wolves. Yeah, right. China's showing off a new combat robot, mutt, they're calling a wolf. American gun owners who've seen the video no doubt pondered the obvious question, exactly what caliber would solve that problem? Should any of us be lucky enough to live where a shipping container of these so-called super soldiers get let loose? And just like the flashy Timu-grade Chinese air defenses that flopped so spectacularly in Venezuela and Iran, Beijing's latest combat wolves were all hat and no cattle. There is a reason Harbor Freight has not sent a manned rocket into orbit. Junk looks great in the promo videos, but real life just doesn't allow people to add some airbrushing or CGI and remedy shortcomings. It doesn't work that way in real life. just like those flashy grade Chinese air defenses. Yeah, these quadrupled wolf packs strut around with machine guns, grenade launchers, micro missiles, allegedly obstacle clearing mobility. They appear to have some sort of collective brain for swarm collaboration. They all think together. The salesmen all have their scripts ready. Robots supposedly clear streets in minutes. Humans chill in the rear, and attrition shifts to drone versus bot play dates, but with much lower body counts. The magic elixir for urban combat. Now, this promo video is in Chinese, so I'm just going to play a bit of it. There's no translation. And play a bit of it, let you see what these robot dogs they call wolves look like, and whether or not they are indeed combat ready. And I'll probably get a copyright strike for whatever music this is. Look at these things.
前进，停止，切换手套和枪在握把控制。
There's the sales lady.
看，我现在已经被狼群包围了。召唤机器狼的方式有几种呢？除了语音控制，最新一代机器狼群，城市废墟、暗滩、沙滩中穿梭，如履平地。它的四肢关节有12个自由度，模仿真狼更加灵活，能够随时切换步态。 背负25公斤，还能轻松跨越30厘米的高台，这是因为它的电机功率大幅提升。这种适配复杂地形的能力，让机器狼能在山地斜坡冲锋，也能在城市废墟渗透，真正实现无死角作战。不仅如此，它们还能协同决策，每只机器狼实时共享感知。
Okay. So there you go. That's the promo video. As it happens, I've got questions. First of all, assuming these things are running at least semi-autonomously, that means of their own volition, how would they be able to differentiate between friend and foe? Would they be taught which uniforms each side is wearing? And that would seem to be a rather bad mistake, because the other guys could just switch shirts and completely bollocks these wolves. Wouldn't that do it? Secondly, what is the power supply on these things? How long would it last in an actual combat operation? Would it be recharged out in the battlefield? Not exactly an easy thing while you stand by while your robot dog wolf recharges. And third, we see in that video these robot wolves running around on very well-maintained city streets, and yeah, a few little molehills out in the field. But honestly, in some rough, rocky terrain, exactly how are these things going to navigate? Heavy vegetation? Higher than they are? Then what? I suspect these wolves are nowhere near ready for prime time. Look, I spent some time around 11 Bravo, enough to have some idea of how they think. And I think most grunts would have an absolute field day picking off these robot dogs. One good 5.56 millimeter round in a knee joint. Done. Wolfbot over. A lot of fun ways to reduce them to a non-threat. M2.5 caliber. Send a bunch of these robo-wolves into a new program command. Leap 50 feet in the air, fly apart, and scatter yourself over a wide area. That'd be nice. Imagine plopping a 40 millimeter grenade in that hatch the moment it opens. I'm suspecting China would be just a little bit worried about their upcoming demographic crash, probably looking for ways to make up for the lack of any capable military age young men, since they ain't having a lot of babies lately. And I gotta admit, fielding a bunch of these might actually slow down the reaction of an opposing American force. That would be because the American guys would all have fallen on the ground laughing their asses off at the opposition, and then have a field day picking them off. Oh, man. Well, good that they're trying, you know? Why not? Crazy. Crazy people. I love it that we're so ahead of the game on this thing. All right, what else is going on? Oh, the amazing, I know you've heard about this already, but I got to tell you about it anyway. The amazing rescue of 2 American airmen, and it unfolded in a brilliant fashion. Overnight, the U.S. military pulled off one of the most difficult missions in the playbook: the rescue of a downed air crew very deep inside enemy territory. Easter morning, yesterday, an F-15E weapon system officer extracted from atop a 7,000-foot ridge in southwestern Iran, having been on the run since Friday. It all sounds a bit biblical, doesn't it? This is how the operation played out. Listen to this, amazing. Mind you, it's all based on reports that have been patched together from various sources. The U.S. Central Command yet to issue a statement on whether the loss of the aircraft or the successful rescue of the flight crew, but President Trump, not quite that constrained, he posted, all caps, "We got him." President Trump responded as the second airman rescued from enemy territory. Friday morning, April 3rd, an F-15E Strike Eagle, apparently hit by an Iranian fire near the village of Takhunchek, Isfahan province in Iran. A lot of boasting from the Iranians about an advanced passive infrared detection system that they use to guide a missile. There's other accounts online that link the downing to Russian ships arriving at Iranian ports. We don't know the cause. Based on the history of the Operation Epic Fury air campaign, the plane going down from a bird strike is just as likely as an Iranian anti-aircraft missile, honestly. Both pilot and weapons systems officer eject. The pilots punched out they would have transmitted a Mayday on-guard frequency, and that would have alerted a combat search rescue immediately. It was on standby, they always are, and the WSO, who's reported to be a lieutenant colonel, reportedly injured during the ejection. Not unusual. I don't know if you've ever seen an actual ejection seat in one of these jets and how it operates. That is a violent way to exit an airplane. Within a short period of time, an image of one of the ejection seats appeared on social media. The pilots have some emergency supplies, including a radio, personal defense weapon. It's stored under the seat. With a short period of time, a CSAR element composed of an MC-130J refueling aircraft and 2 HH-60 Jolly Green helicopters spotted near the scene. Why are they called Jolly Green? The original Jolly Green Giant was the HH-53B designed for CSAR work during the Vietnam War, and that name simply stuck. The HH-60s, armed with 7.62 millimeter Gatling-style miniguns, carried a USAF pararescue jumpers. At this point, the story becomes a little fuzzy. There was obviously a long time lag between the pilot and the WSO unassing the aircraft. They became separated, of course. The flight locates the pilot fairly quickly, extracts him under fire. According to reports, both HH-60s are hit by ground fire, and some members of the crew are injured. Taking the voiceover in the video seriously would result in brain damage to your future children or grandchildren.
In this raw,
despite that, let me share that with you.
In this raw footage, US HH-60W Jolly Green 2 helicopters are seen banking at low altitude while under intense fire during the most dangerous rescue mission. A specialized rescue package crossed into Iranian territory. The video captures two HH-60Ws navigating broken terrain as they are engaged by local Iranian police and border units with concentrated small arms fire. While the first helicopter cleared the kill zone, the second was reportedly struck by a shoulder-fired missile, or heavy ground fire, trailing black smoke as it retreated toward the Iraqi border. Despite the critical damage and reported injuries to personnel on board, CENTCOM has confirmed that the helicopter successfully reached safe airspace and all crew members survived.
So, just so you've seen it, it's a pretty dumbass video, but nevertheless. During the Vietnam era, any mission that had at least one A-1 Sky Raider, they were called SPADs. No one ever called them Sky Raiders. Top flying cover to keep enemy ground forces from approaching. Well, by this time, the WSO decided to get out of the area, started hiking towards the ridge visible in the background of that video. And all pilots go through SEER training, which is survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. So he had at least some academic knowledge of what he needed to do. Practical rehearsal for that? Not really. Probably used his rescue beacon periodically to let CENTCOM know he was still alive, but not long enough to let the Iranians' direction find him. Anyway, when the Caesar package cleared the area, reported they'd only removed one of the aircrew. Sphincters slammed shut all through CENTCOM at the crack of doom. A full-blown political crisis brewing, which is worse than our European allies joining the Democrats and gleefully rubbing their hands together in anticipation of the missing WSO being killed or captured. Oh, I'm sure they were hoping for that. Bets placed on outcome. Fortunately, CENTCOM had the right guys available at the right time. Hasty task force of the Army's 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, the Navy's DEVGRU, also known as a SEAL Team 6, was created. Rescue operations spinning up in Kuwait. WSO hikes about 5 miles, gains about 7,000 feet of altitude, and goes to ground in a hiding position, a rock crevice, and all the while overwatched by MQ-9 Reaper drones. Keep any Iranian pursuers at bay. And then the improbable happens. I don't believe for 1 second the CIA had any role in this, because I'm A, sure the CIA could not find its ass with both hands, and B, I don't see how a deception plan could have been ginned up, employed, and get in effect in just a few hours. We've also got virtually subcontract covert activities in Iran to Israel. So rather hard to believe anything but bureaucratic scramble for credit was going on. President Trump, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth congratulates the CIA. Big mistake. And then the climax. 2 C-130s land on a dirt strip, probably a road some distance from the WSO's location. An established forward operating base inside Iran. Carried members of the 160th SOAR and DEVGRU along with a couple of MH-6 Little Bird helicopters. The Army Rangers aboard to defend the forwarding operating base act as a reaction force if things go pear-shaped. And the mission at first goes like absolute clockwork. MH-6s located the WSO, got him out, returned to the forwarding base, and then our friend Mr. Murphy intervenes. While the temporary landing strip's been sufficient for landing, the landing gear got mired in all the soft soil in the spot. 3 Dash 8 aircraft, which no one has definitively identified as Air Force or Army, landed and picked up the CSAR team. From the quickness, safe to say they were sitting on an airfield, fueled and idling just in case of this kind of contingency. But it also calls into question whether those 2 C-130s had got stuck, or because of faulty soil analysis, or if it's just the cost of doing business. So they left them behind. They were either blown up by the departing team or bombed by overwatching aircraft, because, we really don't want to give them up to the Iranians. They did recover some war trophies, though. Toothpaste, tubes, things like that. It's okay, you can have our toothpaste. Oh yeah, and a most priceless trophy of all the Iranians got was a pair of American Eagle boxer shorts. You can get a 3-pack for $23.50. It was undoubtedly meant to be left behind because nobody on the mission packs extra undies. Some free advice, Habibi. If the SEALs left this underwear for you, you probably should wear a hazmat suit and get all your shots before you try them on. Huge success. Enormously good story. And congratulations to everybody involved, which in my humble opinion does not include the CIA. Give me a break. Shall we tell you a little bit about the best coffee on the planet? I got a cup of it right here. If you're a regular viewer of this show, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The amazing Blackout coffee. Where's my sound, boys? Blackout coffee. Oh man, this is good stuff. I'm telling you, if you've never tried it, you've got to try it. Please try a single bag. If you don't have a way of grinding their whole bean roasts, many of their most popular, you can get them ground for you. Yes, no problem. No problemo. Check them out. All the great, amazing flavored coffees, instant coffee pods. They do those too. They've got cold brew. Just the most incredible. It's always full flavored, full bodied, strong coffee taste, but never ever bitter. They only roast your beans after you place your order. That's how fresh roasted they are. And then they ship them off within 24 to 48 hours right to your door. That is fast. And that is fresh roasted right to your door. They have coffee subscriptions. You sign up, pick your flavor, pick your roast. 20% off, free shipping. It's a great way to stay always stocked up. Excuse me. But here's the plan. You head over to the link down there in the show notes or the description. Just expand that. You will see Blackout Coffee and a link. You go to that link. You place an order. If it's your first time, you use the code J20, JAY20, and that gets you 20% off your first order, J20. Use the link, order one bag, look through, find your favorite roast, whole beans or ground, order a bag. Not expensive, but worth every penny and worth every sip. Blackout Coffee, John Santos and the gang over there, fantastic group of people. We love working with them, and they are truly, truly an amazing American company that works with local co-ops and American farmers to grow the best beans on the planet. Blackout Coffee, thank you guys for your support of this program. We really do appreciate that. Well, here we go again. Former women's soccer star completely rejects a little something called reality. Facts, apparently, are now hate speech. Yeah, like I said, here we go. Leave it to the left to ignore, really, reality. In the latest episode of Woke Progressives Gone Wild, former women's soccer player Megan Rapinoe, remember that moron? She is back to her usual shenanigans, denying biology in favor of dudes playing in women's sports. You'd think, having been a soccer player, a sport which I am given to understand requires speed, strength, agility, endurance, you'd think she know better. Clearly, she does not know or care about the difference between a man and a woman. Former U.S. soccer star Megan Rapinoe ripped the International Olympic Committee for implementing a new policy to ensure fairness among women competition. The IOC said eligibility for any female category event at the Olympic Games or any other IOC event included individual and team sports, now limited to biological females, determined on the basis of a one-time SRY gene screening. You got to prove you're a man or a woman before you get to compete in certain categories of sports. Makes perfect sense. Simple enough. If a would-be player has an X and a Y chromosome, they're men, and they compete against men. Duh. If said player has two X chromosomes, they are women, and they compete against women. Not rocket science. And by the way, we can dispense with the whole biological female redundancy, sex is a matter of biology. You can just say female. These are the facts. And it was these facts that apparently prompted this outburst from this idiot Rapinoe. They announced a new policy they're calling, and I can't believe they're calling it this, because it has nothing to do with protecting women. This is Rapinoe. I feel like two people who played at the very highest level for every competition you possibly could and don't agree with this, and never felt like this was an issue at all, the protection of female women's category. Rapinoe dismissed the notion that the policy was rooted in science and said the IOC was subjecting women to invasive testing. Oh, she had more to say, but those words plenty to establish that she has absolutely no interest in science, in biology, or more importantly, she has no interest in reality. Let's deconstruct her statement a little bit, huh? First, the policy by the IOC, very long overdue, I might add, precisely about protecting women. That's what it's there for. It's about protecting actual women from losing and possibly being very seriously injured by dudes cosplaying as women. Men who are overwhelmingly larger, faster, stronger, more endurance than women. Men who retain this difference even after estrogen therapy. That's a fact. Take it to the bank, cash the check. Secondly, this policy from the IOC is absolutely rooted in science. Men and women, newsflash, are different. That difference is not assigned. It is determined genetically at conception. Been any number of studies, peer-reviewed, published, identifying the differences before and after puberty. That's the science. That's the reality. Those are the facts. Finally, the test is not invasive. A cheek swab. In the cheek, like that. By definition, not invasive. Invasive procedure is one where the skin, mucous membrane, blood tissue boundary is breached. Not necessary for a DNA swab. So, Ms. Rapinoe, whether you want to own up to the reality of it or not, those are the facts. She needs to take a quarter down to the corner store and buy a clue. Meanwhile, the IOC is finally doing the right thing. And thank God for that. Did you see the Easter message yesterday from the Artemis II astronaut? I know a lot of people may have seen it, but I'm going to do it again because it's worth every moment. A profound Easter message. Christians celebrated Easter, of course, yesterday. The Artemis II crew continues their 10-day journey through the vastness of space, the goal of exploring the dark side of the moon. Good Friday, NASA communicated with their astronauts, Reed Weissman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Canadian Jeremy Hansen, mid-journey. Glover professed his faith in Jesus Christ, prayed a beautiful and moving prayer before they were launched into space. And so NASA Communications asked him whether he had any special message for Good Friday and the upcoming Easter Sunday. And what Glover actually said was, in my eyes, absolutely jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring.
You know, I don't
Have we got that queued up? We do. It's just about a minute long. Sounds like it gets cut off. It does not. But have a listen.
You know, I don't have anything prepared. I'm glad you brought that up, though. I think these observances are important, and as we are so far from Earth and looking back at, you know, the beauty of creation, I think for me, one of the really important personal perspectives that I have up here is I can really see Earth as one thing. And, you know, when I read the Bible and I look at all of the amazing things that were done for us who were created, it's, you have this amazing place, this spaceship. You guys are talking to us because we're in a spaceship really far from Earth, but you're on a spaceship called Earth that was created to give us a place to live in the universe, in the cosmos. I think maybe the distance we are from you makes you think what we're doing is special, but we're the same distance from you, and I'm trying to tell you, just trust me, you are special. In all of this emptiness, this is a whole bunch of nothing, this thing we call the universe. You have this oasis, this beautiful place that we get to exist together. I think as we go into Easter Sunday, thinking about, you know, all the cultures all around the world, whether you celebrate it or not, whether you believe in God or not, this is an opportunity for us to remember where we are, who we are, and that we are the same thing, and that we got
to get through this together. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Off the cuff, wasn't a prepared comment. As someone who sadly will never get to go into space, like that would be me, my sense of wonder over being a special part of God's creation is experienced completely stranded here on this little third rock from the sun. I try as best I can to sit outside at the sunrise, spend a little time sitting in nature. I live in the suburbs, so the sun comes up here about 7:15 or so. I have lived inside city, absolute proper urban cities, which is great to listen to the different coos and calls and responses, birds and traffic and all that mess going on. It is amazing to have those experiences. Here in the suburbs, kind of away from the urban sprawl. So like astronaut Glover there from his perch in the cosmos, I get to ponder exactly how special I am. It's like Matthew 6:26 says, "Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they?" Astronaut Glover absolutely blessed to understand this profundity from observing God's creation from way out there in the vastness of space. And I'm blessed to understand this by observing God's creation in my own tiny little front yard. Different perspectives, same conclusion. Both of us highly privileged. Because anytime we consider the work of God's hands, whether from space or from Earth, the end result is always wonder. And wonder breeds thanksgiving and marvel at exactly how special we are to God. Special He sent His only begotten Son to die so we might live and delight not only in the beautiful creation He designed for us to live in, but the beautiful universe where we can find Him everywhere, live in joy and peace and wonder over all that He's made. Something about this past weekend that just inspires people, which is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. What else is firing off here? Oh, here's a good one. This is insane. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Let me say that again. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is targeting anti-Christian bias. Yeah, you heard that right. The EEOC is suing a private security company after they've allegedly forced an employee to resign because he was a Christian. The Chicago Bulls, we covered this story, released Jaden Ivey from his contract for his outspoken mention of his Christian beliefs. Thankfully, the EEOC followed a Trump admin executive order begun to increase efforts to counter violations of Christians' religious rights. We have them. Whether the left likes it or not, we do. Well, this week, the EEOC announced it was suing the Cougar Group, a private security company, after they allegedly forced a disabled veteran working as a security guard to resign over his Christian beliefs. No, I'm not kidding. February 2024, the Virginia-based company told the security guard that his schedule would be shifted so he'd be required to work on the weekends, according to this press release from the EEOC. Guard had previously informed the Cougar Group, way back in March of 2021, he was not able to work on Sundays because of his religious beliefs. He identifies as a devout Baptist and a church deacon. The EEOC says the Cougar Group refused to honor the employee's religious practice, forcing the security guard to resign. Employers who do not make accommodations for their employees' religious beliefs are violating Title VII of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Plain and simple. They've done a bunch of other cases like this very recently. September 2025, just last year, sued Apple for not allowing a 16-year-old to take Fridays and Saturdays off in observance of the Sabbath. Earlier this year, the EEOC investigation into the Young Men's and Women's Hebrew Association of Washington Heights and Inward resulted in the group paying more than $100,000 to a Christian employee who requested Sundays off to go to church. One of President Trump's very first executive orders, I'm sure you remember this, one of his very first was eradicating anti-Christian bias. That order addressed examples of hostility, violence, vandalism against the Christian community. Well, the number of attacks on American churches has increased in recent years. Recorded numbers for 23 and 24 significantly higher than those when you look back to 2018 through 2022. Trump's order and acknowledgement that Christian discrimination has become more prevalent and an attempt to prevent its normalization. They're working on it. They're doing all they can. They are trying to enforce the law. Now, despite the backlash, the Christian community persists. Falling rates of Americans who identify as Christians has leveled off. Many political leaders, including President Trump and Vice President Vance, have spoken about the importance of Christianity in America. Recent polling has shown that people who are religious and attend church regularly are most likely to report being happy. It's that simple. Now more than ever, we Christians have got to keep fighting for our rights. A genius move by ICE agents. This is the coolest story. 90% of today's show has been upbeat and pretty cool. Did ICE just use the DMV as bait to lure in illegal alien truck drivers? Yeah, they kind of did. ICE may have dropped off the radar a little bit after things settled down in Minneapolis, but a flurry of arrests outside Pittsburgh suggests that ICE is just as active as ever, and they've been addressing a problem that has been a long time coming. They arrested a reported 13 people at a driver's license center in a very quiet rural location 40 miles north of downtown Pittsburgh. This was just April 3rd, so 3 days ago. According to WPXI-TV, the local East Franklin Police Department placed calls to ICE after concerned citizen reported an abnormally large amount of individuals outside the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, PennDOT, driving license center in Katanning, Pennsylvania. Yeah, you never heard of it. It's that rural. But they have a PennDOT center there. It's normally open only 2 days a week. Was overrun by fighting-age young men from other countries applying for driving licenses and looking for other services. Witnesses say the center was full of long lines. Do we have? Yeah. Take a look at this. This is this little tiny rural PennDOT center. Look at all the people in the bottom of that shop. They're jammed. They are absolutely jam-packed. Well, guess what? ICE arrived. Federal agents arrested 13 alleged illegal aliens from countries like Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Turkmenistan. At least one person allegedly resisted arrest, reportedly assaulted a law enforcement officer. That ain't gonna go really well for him. Local residents praising ICE for their quick response. DHS spokesperson said residents thanked ICE for investigating their concern and responding to their calls. DHS spokesperson said residents thanked us. It was more than a usual roundup of illegal aliens, by the way. These folks had been involved in more illicit activity. The West Katanning Driving License Center processing medical form updates for current holders of non-domiciled commercial learners permits or driving license holders, which resulted in a large number of customers at West Katanning today. Well, now, if you're wondering what non-domiciled means, the Supreme Court spent a lot of time on that very word and heard oral arguments on that whole bullshit birthright citizenship case. Non-domiciled people are individuals who don't live here. Their home is in another country. So, a group of foreign nationals who likely speak little or no English show up unannounced in a sleepy little country town in Pennsylvania, needed to update their commercial learner's permit, not their driving license, part of the process of updating their medical forms. The sheriff said some of the illegals who were at the center when ICE arrived may have fled, still be hiding in the area, and local law enforcement is on the lookout for any of these strugglers or stranglers. Oh, man. All right. I got one more for you, and then we're going to get out of here. But this is amazing. I am absolutely going to get a copyright strike for this. I know it going in. I'm fine with that because I want you to hear this kid. He is amazing. Hang on. It's in Spanish, so I got to translate it. It says, this guy was simply born with a voice identical to Michael Jackson. And wait till you see this video. You will agree. It is absolutely insane. This kid looks to be like early teenage, probably. But you gotta hear this. Take a listen. That is not lip-syncing to a Michael Jackson track. That's him actually singing. He's got every inflection, every little woohoo. I mean, my voice is nowhere near anything. That is insane. This kid is the absolute bee's knees. It's like he's channeling Michael Jackson. That is amazing. Crazy stuff. All right, folks, thank you for popping by on a Monday morning. We appreciate that. We're live on YouTube and Rumble. Please subscribe or follow, whatever it is on your platform. We appreciate it. Share the show out there. Let people know we're here. And we'll be back again tomorrow. Hit up our sponsors. They are all down there in the description or the show notes. You'll see it there. Get yourself some Blackout coffee. All that other good stuff. I'm going to reach for the rope and jump on out of here.